Previously on Elysia Rising.
There's always one way inside Bell Tower. The traditional way, one enters a prison in shackles.
Is there a way that Magpie can talk to Nephine and see if she has some sort of magic that will turn Magpie's eyes red?
She clicks, and as you peer and look, your eyes are bright red.
Oh boy.
The Hollows seem to have very recently completed some sort of project.
Are people talking about dates? Are people talking about what areas of the city it's going to affect?
As far as the Hollow are concerned, the birth of the Hollow Man is one that will forever change Elysia.
Do you have the plans that I asked for you? The ones of Bell Tower Prison and the areas beneath it?
These were drawn from before all of this getting wrenched from the ground and hurled into oblivion could really do a number on the underground tunnels, you understand.
Well, thank you anyway. Play it cool, Fairfax, and play along.
The EIC agent begins walking in your direction.
Are you traitor?
You're not going anywhere. You're under arrest. Before long, you find yourself in Saints Hollow. Once processing is finished, you're effectively tossed out into the yard. And Magpie, you recognise Samuel, and he recognises you. Oh, Amina, what have you done? Algernon, you've almost counted down to the exact second when you hear the first crash and explosion. As the group of you begins moving through the prison estate, you watch as one of the guards is blasted from the walls by a ray of bright white light. It's the Children of Aya! It's the Children of Aya!
Oh no.
Welcome to Elysia, the jewel of the north. On our gilded streets, fortune and fame can be found by anyone.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm playing Magpie, an ace of our lurk.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm playing Cavern, a dragon-scent slide.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm playing Frida, a wolfkin cutter.
Hi, I'm JC, and I'll be playing Algernon, an Ace of our spider.
Hello, I'm Errol. I am playing Atta, a goblin whisperer.
And my name is DM Dan. I will be the games master on this adventure.
So come on in and marvel at our wonders. Make sure you see the beautiful views we have to offer, and don't mind the ghosts. They're friendly, really. Grab yourselves a seat and make yourselves welcome in the city of Elysia.
Hello and welcome to Explorers of Elsewhere's Elysia Rising campaign. Hello, I am DM Dan, and I'm joined by Julia, Errol, JC, Nate, and Meg. Hello, 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 hello.
Hello.
Hi.
We are on the run. Literally, we're literally on the run. You have successfully infiltrated into Bell Tower Prison, and through some grade A dice rolling, managed to exfiltrate with 40 odd prisoners in tow. And that, for that, I applaud you. You've done very well. You've done very well.
Thanks.
And that's basically it, right? You've completed the job. The score's over.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
just
now we're
get them
leveling
out
up,
the tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's downtime.
If it weren't for the war host of Children of Aya and Children of Elysia, the shield bearers that have turned up, yes, things aren't quite as rosy as you might have hoped. There are quite a few eyes on the Bell Tower Prison and on yourselves. So we rejoin you as Algernon and Magpie begin their descent into the tunnels linked to Bell Tower Prison, the tunnels that run under the sewers of Elysia, whilst the other three are beelining their way through the same said tunnels, but from the other end, hoping to rendezvous with our prison breakees. Prison breakers? I suppose you're the breakers and the breakees, aren't you? So, let us join you Let's turn our attentions to Magpie and Algernon. The sounds of battle are ripping through the air behind you as the children of Aya and the shield bearers of Elysia scale the walls of Bell Tower Prison. You hear the sounds of the front gate seemingly being kind of knocked down through physical or magical means, and you can hear the carnage as the adherents of the faith descend upon the city watch with wrathful fervour. And you can see that there are a number of a number of the Sanguivar prisoners with you, including Samuel, your pseudo mentor, Magpie.
Yeah. No pseudo about it.
So just straight up mentor. There are looks of panic and concern as you can see the small blips of sort of like white and yellow and red and yellow tabard as they as the faith in like begins to spread out through the prison complex. And Algernon, you know that it's only a moment of time before they realise that all of the cells that housed Sanguivar are empty. As you descend down into the tunnels, you know that you've got to. Well, you know that the faith is going to be chasing after you. You know that right now your primary concerns are escape. So we have a brand new 6 o'clock here, and yeah, you begin shepherding everyone in. The other 3 of you coming from the other end. So you're following the route as prescribed by Algernon, presumably. It's just the 3 of you, right? Primarily just the 3 of you, because the cobbles are at home looking for Musto. Yeah, fair. So as the 3 of you go through, the tunnels themselves are surprisingly spacious. You notice that the architecture of the walls is it seems more kind of deliberate and purpose built than you might expect for what you assume were like access tunnels. And glancing at the architecture, Atta, if nothing else, you recognize that the craft work is similar to that of the Ruby Keep. You can notice here and there like telltale signs of some quite exquisite goblin engineering and architecture. But yeah, the halls are kind of long and narrow cavern. As you peer down one, you feel like the tunnel itself is stretching away from you as the light kind of disappears into the murk. Every so often, the corridors are lined with a slight kind of arched, like an archway, which narrows the tunnel ever so slightly. And there's a rank kind of dampness, and there's a stench in the air that's not quite that of the sewers, which you know are currently running overhead, but it's the smell of something old at the very, very least. And as who's do we remember what loadouts we've got? Who of the 3 of you who's got lighting?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how is the lighting down here?
It is illuminated only by whatever you have brought with you.
Okay, I've definitely brought a lantern. I had a normal loadout.
Okay, so if you mark a lantern in your loadout, if you haven't already got it. Who else is carrying a lantern?
A normal loadout's 4, isn't it? I've got normal.
4 or 5?
4 or 5. Oh, okay. Then in that case, yeah, I can have a lantern as well.
Okay. And Atta, are you bringing your own light?
Not if these 2 have got lanterns. I'll try and stick close to them because I think, does the gem from the crown count as a loadout item currently?
It's small enough that I'll say it doesn't. That said, how I remember you saying you were who's carrying Tavari in?
I mean, to be fair, did we bring her? Because we'd have to do like a.
I think she wanted to, right?
Yeah, she wanted to.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were gonna bring her.
Yeah, I'll be carrying Devarian then.
Yeah.
How much does she count?
Well, how is she being carried? I suppose this is a question more for Atta.
Oh, a little sling that you have so she can look out.
Little ghost sling.
Yeah, maybe
Ghost papoose.
maybe we go full Death Stranding style, and it's like a little capsule with the Tavarian baby's bottle,
Baby
ghost
Bjorning.
bottle. Yeah. In there with a little speaker.
Creepy.
Okay, and
Oh,
who's carrying her around?
I think I will. I'll be carrying her around.
Okay,
I had
It's
no
two of your loadout.
involvement of what was made to carry her around. Cameron's not happy with it, but he's accepting it.
Okay, in which case, I will equip you with. It says spirit bottles 2, but it's one load. So that spirit's bottle is fundamentally Devarian.
Okay.
Cool. So the two of you got lanterns. Meanwhile, Algernon and Magpie, as you plunge into the darkness, like how are you both? I suppose you're equipmentless, aren't you?
Well, I would like to ask, could Sly Tom have got some lockpicks for me?
We could do. We can roll for Sly Tom to see how well he managed to slink in some tools.
That would be fantastic. Yes, please.
Okay.
Come on,
Sly
Tom.
Tom is
Sly Tom.
a glorious 1 dicer.
No, come on, Tom.
He is part of the cobbles, unfortunately.
Oh no, Tom!
He's actually upgraded. They upgraded to level 2 when they
Ooh.
moved into Old Town, and they haven't been downgraded yet. So actually, he is 2.
Yay.
So he
Tom.
Failed.
Oh, Tom.
God's sake, Tom.
You asked the wrong Tom.
I asked
Yeah,
yeah, Tom. It wasn't Sly Tom. It was Shy Tom.
The problem was it was Sly Tom that you asked. If it was Pockets Tom, then you would have been all right. But no. Sly Tom. Is Sly Tom with you? I assume
He
Sly
brings
Tom
me
has...
a fork. Is this one?
It's the best I could do. He was hoping. Sly Tom was hoping to confiscate some shivs off some of the prison inmates. But unfortunately, they were all shivved out.
No shivs.
There's no shivs. He apologizes. I'm really sorry. I thought I could find some, but
Very
there was an
well.
inspection of the guard just before. Sly Tom would have a lantern, given that he's a prison guard. But I guess the others would just be torches, so you've got relatively little light. I'm going to ask the trio, so Atacavern, Frida, as you make your way into this labyrinth of tunnels, and it's not only a problem of there are multiple junctions, like T-junctions, cross junctions, but there are also stairs up, there are stairs down, the corridors curve and slope. Like, there is some sort of architectural design here that is quite baffling to understand whilst you're in it. But between the three of you, how are you making sure that you're getting to the right place at the right time? And I'm more than happy for it to be a group role to make sure that you will get there, or one person can help another and the third can just watch.
And our purpose is to rendezvous with Magpie Algernon, right?
Yes.
So we don't
I've got an idea.
go down.
I've got an idea for a flashback to help with this.
Okay.
Is it a possibility that as part of like we flash back to the moment where we were preparing, and is it possible for, like, say, Frida to have gone down into those sewers beforehand, following the sort of map that that Magpie managed. Was it Magpie that managed to obtain it last session? I cannot remember. But we managed to get some sort of like, no, it was Atta, wasn't it? Some sort of map. We weren't quite sure on how efficient it'd be, but we do have some sort of rat map. So would it have been possible to have maybe followed that up by following that map along the sewers, but dragging like a piece of chalk at like head height along the wall, so that, you know, we could sort of follow it back.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and I mean that
Makes sense.
That tracks. What I'll ask for then, because I mean that's something that you would just do if you had the map based off the some of the blueprints that you picked up from Fairfax Algernon. I'm actually just going to go ahead and ask you to roll me, and I'll ask Meg to roll this because you piped up, a 2 dice fortune roll, as you are a 2 dice gang.
Ooh, fortune roll. Fortune. There we go, 2 dice. Blam.
Oh,
That's okay.
Okay.
It's fine.
In which case, you find your chalk line and you're able to follow it. But as you you're able to follow it pretty much to where you need to, you know, in the directions that you're heading. Atta, as you're going along, because presumably you'd be kind of behind Cavern and Frida as they've got the lanterns. As you're following the predetermined route, you hear something in the darkness, and like you turn to look and you notice that there are what seem to be almost little glimmers of light down one of the tunnels that thankfully you don't have to go down, but it is an adjacent tunnel. And just in the sort of like the peripheral light from one of the lanterns, you see the tunnel has a carpet of fur and teeth. And numerous rats from the swarm that occupy this tunnel turn to regard you curiously. And these rats are significantly larger than ones that you or Asma might interact with in the sewers. But yeah, they seem to be feasting on something. You can't tell what it is, but the rats have picked up on your scent and they're looking in your direction. If I could ask for the same fortune roll for Algernon and Magpie, please.
Oh no.
If you're following the same chalk line, you notice occasional intervals where Frida's probably got a little bit bored. There's just little, like, you know, cock and balls drawn. And, like, you know, Magpie smells, hee, and, you know, other incredibly childish things.
Let me see. 2 dice, Fortuna. There it is. No, it's not good.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's not good.
He ain't good.
In which case,
Can't do it.
as you like moving the 40 Sanguivar with you is a bit more cumbersome than perhaps you had anticipated. There are a number of Sanguivar that like some of them clearly have never been into the descent before, but it's clear that they've heard the stories of the prisoners that go in and don't come back. They've heard the stories of the creatures that lurk in the darkness. And it takes a little while to kind of encourage them to move along. But by the time you do manage to mobilize them, perhaps part of the reason why they're incentivized is the sounds of the Faith beginning their chase through the tunnels behind you. You can hear the sound like barked orders, and you can see light kind of in the distance, like further away down the tunnel, presumably coming from their lights, magical or mundane. And I'm going to It takes you a while, so I'm going to move the clock
No, thank
one
you.
along.
No, thanks.
Oh, great. Now we got rats and the religious zealots. It's lovely.
Rats and the religious zealots.
One of them is dangerous and ravenous for blood, and the other's the rats. The old switcheroo.
So, we will, as you, as the two of you and the 40 Sanguivar realise that you're being chased, you will need to get a move on. As you're kind of rushing through the tunnels, you see some light from up ahead approaching, and Magpie, you recognise the voices of the other three. Which, and as you kind of round a corner, Cavern, Atta, Frida, you see your two fellow crewmates at the head of this large kind of horde of Sanguivar, like Asavar, Sanguivar, wearing the kind of yellow and black striped tops of Bell Tower Prison. But Cavern, over their heads, you also notice that there are militants, faithful militants, in hot pursuit. As you notice this, Atta, you glance behind you and realise that the direction, like the dark tunnel that you just came from, there are little glimmers of red kind of reflecting light, and you can hear the sounds of chittering and scratching. And Algernon, like you facing the other three, as you peer around, you can see that some distance away in the tunnels that will mark your escape, there appears to be a vermintide heading in your direction.
Oh, fantastic. It's like Plague's Tale. Keep moving, everybody.
You do notice so the three of you, Algernon, you have the blueprints of the tunnels, right? So you know that if you're quick, you'd have to move kind of back towards the Faith, but if you're quick, you did pass what was effectively a large kind of deep cylindrical room, like a storm drain of sorts. That would kind of get you back up to sewer level relatively quickly, but you'll have to hurry. You're currently sandwiched between the Faith coming from one direction and this ever-growing wave of rat, like carnivorous rat, coming from the other. But if you make a break for this storm tunnel, this storm drain, you might be able to escape up and out in time.
Okay, I'd like to propose a flashback, please, Dan.
Yes, absolutely.
Shortly before Algernon leaves to get arrested, I want to have a little chat with Frida.
Okay.
The Spectre. Have a job for her. Frida, I was wondering perhaps if you'd play messenger for me again.
Of course. What do you need me to do?
You don't have to do this one. I understand how badly you got scarred during your last interactions with this particular faction. But I was wondering if you had any further inroads with our arsonist friends.
I'm honestly not sure. I didn't exactly leave on the best of terms last time. But I know where they are. And I'm sure we could get a message to them.
Well, if you know where to find them, I might propose an olive branch.
Okay. What have you got in mind?
I'd like you to go and find your contact with them and tell them about a particular artifact that got stolen from them a few weeks ago. A rather large set of bellows capable of distributing their alchemical fire. And you've heard where it is. It's currently being kept underneath the Cathedral of Our Mother. And
I mean, that might do it.
there's a chance that around midnight tonight, there might be a lot fewer of their crusaders keeping watch there.
I see. It's all right. Yeah, I like it. I have no. I don't know if they'll be that willing to talk to me, but I can give it a go.
As long as I get the message, Frida.
Okay.
Frida.
Yeah.
This sounds like how are you approaching the giving of the message? Are you going in bold as brass? Are you going in somewhat softly? Which ability are you going to use? Because interestingly, you gain an audience. Like you when you request it through the sort of like the criminal underbelly of Elysia, you are granted the ear of Velka himself.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
This would be the first time that you've interacted with him since he personally kicked you out and led to your somewhat mental break. But yeah, he offers you his ear. How are you approaching this?
I definitely want to go in chin up. I don't want to go in cowering. But I also want to hold back on the arrogance.
Okay.
So I want to go in as if it's strictly business.
Okay.
You know, we've got information that you need. This is an olive branch. Let's let bygones be bygones, or at least let's keep a strictly professional relationship.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. I'm going to start this as risky, lesser effect.
And I'm assuming consort.
Consort, yeah. So you can make it desperate standard, or if Algernon's assisting, you get an upgrade either to the outcome or the dice.
Okay, so it's risky lesser, right?
So you can naturally just flip it to desperate standard, and you get either way. You get +1 upgrade.
Could I upgrade it to like risky standard?
Okay, yeah.
Do it that way.
And then if you want to, you can now swap it to desperate great.
I think Dan's trying to tempt you with the desperate.
Think of the XP.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Think of the XP indeed. Oh, bugger it, why not?
Okay. So,
desperate great it is.
Desperate great. I'm also willing to throw open a devil's bargain if you want to add that to the mix.
Oh, okay, what's the devil's bargain?
Regardless of what happens, a mysterious follower confirms their suspicion about your affiliation with the Kindling.
Ooh.
Mysterious follower. Okay.
No.
I wonder who that is.
Could it be a certain Elysia assassin?
Oh, should we do it for the plot, guys?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
If this prison break doesn't kill us, then the assassin certainly will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so accepting the devil's bargain. Okay.
I am, and I'm going to expend my special armor to gain 2 dice with it.
Okay, so this becomes
I am.
a 4 dice desperate greater consort.
Right, so the modifier is +2, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Modifier, and then it's desperate greater.
Yeah, and you're telling Velka that if he were to reclaim some lost items from the cathedral, tonight would be the night.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Roll them both.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay. Okay, you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer severe harm. A serious complication occurs. You have reduced effect. Okay.
Not a fail.
It's not. It's not a failure. No. So, Velka hears you out. Doesn't particularly respond. In fact, is stonily silent in his response. The only kind of interaction you get with him is the long stare and the mechanical wheezing from his breathing apparatus. And there is a solitary nod, and with like a swish of the cloak, he turns to leave, having taken your information on board. I'm going to say this is a reduced effect, so he will take you up on. He will take your advice, but he's not going to offer any more kind of support for you in this upcoming endeavor. But from a nearby alley, the interaction is observed by a slender, muscular Elysia, whose brow furrows before he slinks away into the darkness to inform a certain songbird of your duplicity. So
You didn't kill me, so win-win.
So, was there a particular intention you had in mind, JC, with the...
I want there to be some kind of fuss at the cathedral, so at least some of these faithful are called away.
Sure. Okay. In which case, yeah, I will reduce the magnitude of the faith that are here. So there's still not as many as so those that attacked the prison. Not all of them seemingly have come into the tunnels after you. Okay, very, very good. So you've reduced the number of the faith chasing you. As you 5 and the 40 break into this storm drain, you can see that the drain itself stretches up at least kind of 120 feet, like directly up. You can see that there are a number of sort of like walkways going around the perimeter, sort of like going up staircases and then bridging across to, like, it looks horrendous to navigate just on your own, but to shepherd a crowd of 40 is going to be extremely difficult. I'm going to just light a fire under your bums. You can hear the scrabbling of the vermintide as it closes in on you. But as who's sort of like leading who's leading the charge, fundamentally?
I reckon Algernon. He's a leader.
Okay. So you can see that like as the Sanguivar kind of filter in, you can see the lights of the faith getting a bit closer. The first obstacle you notice is that the stairway that begins up from this sort of like ground floor that you're at, there appears to be, a few steps up, there is an iron gate barring the way, just like across the stairwell, and it appears to be locked shut.
Don't know why anyone's looking at me, frankly. Did anyone bring my lockpicks?
I was going to say, could someone have brought lockpicks?
Maybe Cameron brought my lockpicks.
I will bring lockpicks.
Yay! They're
Sure.
0, by the way. They're fine lockpicks. So I would have left them with you guys when I went to get arrested.
To be fair, yeah. Now that you've rendezvoused with the others, you can Algernon and Magpie. You can start equipping yourself with your gear. But bear in mind, if it is weighted gear, one of the three will have to mark that on their loadout. To then,
I think I would have. I probably would have requested my lockpicks, which are 0, and probably a blade. So a wanna, if anyone's happy to have carried that, and I will take it over from them now.
Yeah. Okay. So in which case, just pop a rapier in your inventory and your lockpicks.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, you can see that this this gate is quite heavily rusted. It looks quite heavy duty. Given its structure, you know there's nothing kind of stopping you from swinging round it up to the steps after, but to get all 40.
That's not the best thing when you've got a whole crowd. So I'm going to attempt to unlock this gate, please.
I'm going to start this at a risky standard.
Sure. There isn't like a clock for this gate or anything, is there? It's not as if I'm going to gain anything by converting it.
As you approach, you notice that the mechanisms look quite intricate.
Oh my god, come on.
And there is, in fact, a 4 clock.
Fine, I will convert it into what is my special armor again? Infallible expend to add 1 effect level. Well,
So
I might as well have the XP if I have the opportunity to get it. Right.
So you can switch to a desperate great.
Yeah, why not? Desperate great. I'd like to push myself. Is that too stressed? Push?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. So it's another die. I've got 3 in my tinker. So +1.
Mm-hmm.
It is desperate great.
Mm-hmm. So for 4 dice tinker.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I hope I don't regret this. Let's go. Triple great!
Always good to not pick in.
This is what I'm built for.
Amazing. Yeah.
So
Sod your 4 clock.
So a triple success, a 666. Yeah, that is at least 4 segments.
Thank you.
So you're able to
You might as well
just
have not created that clock.
yeah, right. So you're able to sort of like you dive in at you glance at it, and sort of like there's a moment where you're like, oh no, that's going to be really hard. You just see like the tongue comes out as Magpie, and there's a click, like a heavy clonk, and like a bit of metal like swings down, and then the gate kind of swings towards you, Magpie.
Yeah.
Because you've overcome this clock, you get 1 segment of the escape clock filled.
Way. I think as the gate clicks open in a very sort of accomplished way, I think she's probably gonna kind of look up to Samuel just with a little like, see what I did kind of look, and then open the gate all the way for everybody to go through.
He looks back to you with a face of genuine kind of pride.
No.
And you like a beaming wink. But yeah, as the gate swings open with a heavy, you're able to then kind of hurry the Sanguivar along.
Can I ask a question, Dan?
Yes, go for it.
So, Kavrin, Atta, and Frida have come from one direction and another direction as we've rendezvoused with Magpie and Algernon. Rat Swarm has sort of come in behind us, and so Algernon and Magpie have been coming down or from another direction with the Faith basically behind them. So, and then we've sort of both met together and kind of gone another way, right, through this gate. That's the rough. So presumably the Faith and the Rat.
So yeah, Team A, which was Magpie and Algernon, kind of came down. Team B, which was you lot, rendezvoused with them, and then the plan was to go back the way that Team B came. But there are now Rattos heading from the way you came. There is also the Faith heading from the way that they came. So the only other option is up this kind of awkward to navigate storm drain.
Can I ask another weird additional question, which may or may not inform a flashback? So not a lot of people die, or a normal amount of people die in Elysia, right? And they go to the mausoleum to have their bodies and ghosts processed. What happens to their bits that maybe, like, can you, like, perhaps procure buckets of blood?
Oh my god.
Of chum.
Awful chum.
People chum.
Oh no.
Well, arguably, the people were chum. That was the
problem.
horrid secret of the mausoleum. So, I mean, yeah, you could potentially have visited the mausoleum somehow to procure some... Actually, no, they would not let people chum out of the mausoleum, would they? That would 100% go
You have to sneak it out.
Yeah.
Well, either, I guess, like, the flashback might be either an Atta and Cavern or an Atta and Magpie trying to do some kind of... Atta, like, saying, I've got a plan. Honestly, with the bits of people, it's not. I just don't want the bits of people for me. It's for.
I was gonna say, is there no better chum in Elysia that you could pick? And then I realised there genuinely isn't. Is there? There's barely any meat in Elysia.
It's either people slurry or nah.
God.
Or rats. Other rats, which we've already used.
I have a small plan as well, and I wonder whether or not those plans could act together. So what were you thinking?
I mean, essentially, if we can procure some meat, questionable meat from some place that we can try and, in Atta fashion, create some kind of disgusting device that basically implodes upon the faith to make them covered in the bits that the rats would like.
So the sort of the slurry, the sort of the and it wouldn't be just people, because you've got those big pig animals that they use a lot as like transport. So it'd probably be like it would be corpse slurry. Which sounds lovely.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be people slurry. It could be just
it's just slurry. You know, it's just slurry.
Yeah, I don't know why we're so focused on
slurry. That's being used to fertilize the mushrooms, right? So you wouldn't have to go to the mausoleum. You would just have to go to the mushroom farms.
Aren't they one and the same? The mushroom farms and the mausoleum are kind of like connected.
I mean, there must be mushroom farms that are outside of the mausoleum, but they may not necessarily
there
be
are
on that scale.
Non-organic mushroom farms, yes.
My idea was sort of around the same sort of thing, so something of a bomb exploding. But could we use my trance powder that I have in the bomb? So I'm happy to take out like an extra load out of trance powder, like two to make it like one to make a big enough bomb.
Hallucinogenic slurry bomb.
Yeah.
It's gross and I love it.
I mean, okay, because there is I guess the other food source are eels. There are lots of eels in the river. Okay.
Rose can get us a bunch. It'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. So I would argue for I'm gonna charge 1 stress to whoever wants to help aid making this bomb, this eel slurry hallucinogen bomb, because you've got to you had to go out of your way to find enough materials whilst also being wanted level 2, whilst also keeping things as under wraps as you can.
I definitely could have helped with this, I think. Yeah. How much is it a stress to help?
Well, fundamentally, I'm going to ask for 1 stress per bit of per ingredient, and Magpie, if you want to help, then you could substitute. You could take the stress that someone else was going to take, kind of thing.
Okay.
I will take a stress.
So
I can take a stress as well.
Okay, so I'm imagining explosives, the chum, and the powder. So 3 stress between, however.
Yeah, 1 stress each for me, Nate, and Errol, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So you liaise with Roth to get some eel chum. You there's some fishy tinkering in Cadwallader Manor.
Fishy tinkering.
And
that's one of the worst phrases I've ever heard.
And Cavern hits up all of his sort of like trance powder suppliers in Celestry to get enough, presumably for a really, really big night.
Yeah.
But not in the way that they thought it would be. Okay, so 1 stress each for the 3 of you.
Nice.
And yeah, we'll count that as like a weight 1 item.
I'm going to be really annoyed if you don't call this episode Hallucinogenic Slurry Bomb. Just saying.
Maybe that'll be the crew name. So you have this trance powder bomb. The Sanguivar are filing up the stairwell that you've kind of opened the way for. And like the 5 of you can sit. Like, where are the 5 of you placed in amongst the crowd? Like, who's in front, in amongst, and behind the Sanguivar?
I think I'd probably be.
I will be behind.
Would you be behind?
I'll be at the back. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll be in the middle.
Okay. Well, for those of you at the back, then you know, being the last to go up, as you begin ascending the stairs, sort of like closing the gates to provide any form of obstacle to the encroaching like faith, children of Aya. Yeah, as you make your sort of like a half rotation around the side of this storm drain, you can see clerics with their white and gold, like white and yellow tabards kind of burst into the room, and then they see you all sort of like fleeing around the far side of this kind of enormous storm drain. There are cries and shouts. You see one of them sort of like lift a crossbow, and there's a twang, an echoey twang as a crossbow bolt flies out, and
No.
You hear a kind of a cry of pain as the bolt strikes one of the Sanguivar in the side. It doesn't like take them out, but they are wounded, and they're sort of like going along with this bolt protruding from their shoulder. And as the clerics kind of fan out and look to see if there are any other ways to chase you, from their from behind them emerges this goblin woman with a glowing staff, war paint freshly applied to her cheeks and brows, and she watches you, her glittering white armor reflecting all of the torchlight carried by all of the magical light being conjured by her fellow clerics. And Lukraji looks at you, and her eyes fall on you specifically, Algernon, and like in a quiet voice that's amplified by the acoustics of this tunnel up, you hear her shout, "Get them!" And the clerics burst into a chase as they move up the stairs to try and catch you. As you're heading up, who's at the front of the group?
It's me, isn't it?
Me and I can be at the front as well.
Okay, so Algernon, as you see kind of Lukraji below, as you turn your attentions to the obstacles that are coming up, and you notice that this stairwell kind of gets to a point, and there's effectively like a large platform and what appears to be almost like a drawbridge that spans the width of this drain pipe, but it is currently, the two halves of the bridge are currently up. And as the two of you, as you and Frida reach it, Frida, the two of you are able to identify what appears to be the mechanism to lower, like the winch mechanism to lower this bridge. But the mechanism is horribly, horribly rusted.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
The rusted
Can I brute
mechanism
force
clock.
it?
Yep, the rusted mechanism clock is now in play.
Oh no.
Too many clocks.
I'm gonna, can I try and brute force
Frida,
it?
remember all that practice you've been doing in my wrecking room?
I got the guns for it.
Speaking of which, and from your gear I take the concealed pistol that I always wear, on my wrist, and I strap it on. Thank you, Frida. It feels naked to have nothing up my sleeve.
Frida, I will start you on a risky. I'm going to start you on a risky lesser.
Cool. Can I do this on rec? Would that be okay?
Yeah. So
Or
what are you doing? So currently, it's effectively like a large winch that would kind of bring the bridge down, so it joins in the middle, and you can cross.
So yeah, I'm just gonna try and brute force the rusty mechanism just to see if I can get it going.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. In which case, you can absolutely wreck. So yeah, risky lesser due to its kind of the sheer the sheer state of this mechanism.
Can I do a not to be trifled with and push myself to do a feat of physical force that verges on the superhuman?
You can. So I will move you to risky greater, I think.
Okay. And that's that's 2 pips of stress, isn't it, to push yourself? Is it 1 or 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it 1 or 2 pips? I can't remember.
2 to push.
Yeah.
2 to push. Okay. Worth it. Risky, great. And it's 2 dice, so it's not too bad.
And because you're pushing yourself, because you get the extra dice on top of.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you get that as normal.
So there's an extra 1 dice, yeah?
Yeah, because you're already at greater effect.
Cool,
So
cool,
1
cool,
extra
cool.
dice, risky greater, as your mummy muscles bulge.
Okay.
Yay! 6!
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, describe to me how this looks, Frida.
Frida's arrogance is back. And as Algernon says, I'll remember the training that you did for this in the rec room. She just gives a half smirk, lifts up her guns, kisses both of them, cracks the knuckles, and just wrenches it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Effortlessly.
So Algernon,
Like it wasn't even rusted at all. Like if it was a newly oiled mechanism, it just sings.
Well, yeah, Algernon, there's a moment where you involuntarily kind of have a breath catch for a moment, as you watch like Frida just kind of grab this thing, and like you see the sleeves bulge slightly as there's initial tension, and then suddenly the winch starts turning, and you watch as the oxidization starts kind of like being peeled off as the mechanism rolls round itself. That is, you've rolled a success, so that is 3 segments of the rusted mechanism clock. The bridge, the drawbridges kind of begin coming down, and they're almost ready to go. As this happens, Magpie must be in the middle if Cavern and Atta are at the back. How's Atta stopping the faith?
Setting off smelly trance bombs and getting them
Are you launching
Slurry bomb?
Are you launching the hallucinogenic slurry
trance bomb? Yes, that's it.
I feel like Atta, either in a flashback via rats that were doing the mapping, or as we were going as well, kind of also has been placing strategically like timed slurry trance pockets for those rats, because we want the rats that were chasing us to not catch us, but we want them to follow quite closely behind. So I think what has been doing is kind of doing goblin mathematical calculations about like where the best times and places to have. I just want to see Lukraji get covered in a rat swarm.
That's what we all want.
If it's in the,
Yeah, no, that is fair. That is fair. Okay, I'm going to argue if you're taking this opportunity to hoik your hallucinogenic slurry bomb. I mean, that sounds kind of tinkery to me. Unless
Tinker and
want...
Wreck are the same for me, so...
fair. Oh yeah, I suppose Wreck would also work.
They're the same for me. But I'm happy to do it. I've not got a lot of stress, but I feel like I'll push myself for an extra dice.
So you kind of, when you say mathematics, are you hoping that there'll be a bit of a, like, it's going to explode before it hits the ground, so it kind of splatters downwards?
Yeah, I want the splatter to be like, the concentration, the what's the word? The like algebraic angles that it's all over on the side of things.
All of the chalkboard
and the wind,
like mathematical figurines coming out of your head as you peer off in the long distance. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay, risky standard,
I'm going to start you on risky standard for this year.
Okay, I'm going to add a dice for some stress, and then I think it's going to be a trauma episode today.
No, Atta, you're looking so stressed. Stop it.
It's got to be done. We're trying to get these Sanguivar out.
Wait, 6.
Okay,
success.
You do it. So I'm going to say that. So you launch this grenade type object, and like you see a number of the children of Aya look up, and as it detonates at the exact point and moment that you want it to, and bits of mystery meat, kind of laced with this pinky silvery trance powder, kind of erupts and coats the lower, like the bottom of this storm drain kind of area. You see a couple of the clerics sort of like looking up in panic as they're coated in whatever was contained within this bomb, and like there's a pause amongst the clerics for a moment as they try to figure out what's happening, before some of them sort of like shrug it off because they realise no one's been hurt, but some of them begin carrying on towards the stairs to chase you up, but then they notice that others are just kind of like stood blinking and like looking at their hands a bit too long with this red viscera kind of dripping off them. Lukragi is one of the ones on the steps turning to see her fellow kind of children of Aya not like, just stopping dead in their tracks. And then she watches in horror, perhaps joined by anyone else who's peering down, as the clerics who haven't made it onto the stairwell, the ones that are just kind of staring at their hands, don't notice the carpet of black and brown and teeth that scurries in round the corner. And as they're like in a world of their own, thanks to the effects of the trance powder, the clerics are dragged to the ground as their bodies are swarmed by these furry masses. You hear the sickening sounds of flesh being ripped apart as they crawl under armor into the robes of the clerics, and just hands and screams kind of emerge from the mass as this vermintide kind of pulls through the bottom of the storm drain. And like watching this with abject horror on her face, Lukragi then looks back up to you. We're going to bump the faith clock back down to 0. You've managed to stymie them a little bit. But I am, as the plan fundamentally called for, the calling of the rats. I'm going to put the rat clock up.
Whoa!
I feel like we've just done an epic power move on the faith. Like, you think you can do heinous war crimes? Well, look what we can do.
The next evil faction are going to be the rats.
Yeah, right. There are only about a half dozen cleric, like children of Aya, left after this ratty massacre. And yeah, Lukragi numbers one of them as she like looks down and then looks up to you, and you see a face of abject hatred spread across her features as she sort of like shouts and barks to her fellow children to carry on chasing you up.
Oh boy.
Should we just call back? Shouldn't have been a racist.
Who wants to step in next? So the Faith are still coming. I think what we're going to do every time we do something, we'll start progressing the Faith and the Rat clocks
Right.
as appropriate. But yeah, who's doing what next?
So what's the situation with the bridge? Is it?
It's about 3/4 down.
Okay.
It's going, but it's still not quite there.
Right.
Frida's like struggling with that last bit, you know, she had that like initial just it gave and then it's just caught right at the last second. So you can sort of, as you come up, you can just see her sort of swearing and trying to like, oh god damn this bloody thing.
I mean, none of us are really built for strength, right? I mean, I'll try and tinker with it, I guess. See if there's anything tinkery I can do to uncatch the last bit of the mechanism. See if I can figure out what is catching.
So perhaps, the drawbridge has snagged somewhere. Quick tinker. We'll start you on.
Quick tinker.
We'll start you on a risky lesser, same as Frida.
Risky lesser. And maybe I use my special armor to increase that to a risky standard.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's my infallible for being an Elysia. I had 1 effect level, as long as the effect level wasn't already 0. So I'm going to tinker 3 dice with a. Did you say risky limited to start with?
Risky limited to start.
So I'll make it risky standard with my special armor. It's a 4. It's a 4.
Ooh, okay. So
is that enough?
That is enough. You manage to find where the chain, like the part of the rope is snagged, and as you sort of like jam your tools into, and you wiggle it enough that it then kind of drops where the slack of the bridge kind of catches up with it, and the rusted mechanism, like the drawbridge, lands with a heavy thud, like a concussive thud, and the way forward is now open. As a complication, the Faith gain 2 segments on the clock as the 5 of them, now that they're not weighed down by numbers, make quick progress chasing you from behind. So you make your way across the bridge. You're now about halfway up this kind of storm drain. Thankfully, a lot of the Sanguivar don't appear to have been like harmed, apart from that one that caught the crossbow bolt. Who nominates themselves for being the one peering ahead? Well, I assume this is Algernon again, looking out for things that are coming up. Sure. So let's get rid of the rusted mechanism. As you peer up, you can see that there are a number of what appear to be sort of like tunnel entrances to this storm drain that don't really have any, like there's no walkways connecting to them. You wonder if they are just sort of like drainage tunnels that lead down into the storm drain to then kind of go off, presumably further deeper underground. You notice as you peer up, like your eye, it catches your attention as you notice there's a soft blue glow that's getting brighter and brighter and brighter.
Uh-oh.
And as you and the others are kind of shepherding these Sanguivar up, you see a number of figures begin to appear at these drainage flows, all wearing a similar crazed expression on their face as they look down. Their eyes are obscured by these grimy goggle-like kind of glasses as they peer down, it reflecting the blue light, and wearing kind of dirty, like lab coats of a sort. And you recognise the Hollow have arrived.
Great.
Ideal. Right.
Cool.
And Frida, as you notice this as well, you can hear the sounds of the screeching, feasting rats down below. You can hear the sounds of the children of Aya kind of charging up the stairs after you, gaining ground. You can hear the sort of like the crazed whispers from the hollow up like beyond above you, and you also hear a heavy, slow footstep.
Oh, jeez, not this guy. No.
And from one of the larger drain pipes, what appears to be a large, broad-shouldered figure in a full sealed suit. It looks, Algernon, you glance at it for a moment, and it looks similar to a diving suit. Frida, you recognize it as being the suit that you saw in the Hollows lockup in Rookridge.
Yeah.
Except now it is moving, it is complete. It stands at about 7.5 feet tall, and the circular pane where its face would be is glowing with this shifting blue light. And as it appears to be scanning the group, and then you notice it locks its gaze on you. And with a heft that belies its size, it leaps from its drain tunnel onto the staircase below it, which is between you and escape. And as the figure stands to full height and looks to you, it slowly and kind of creakily lifts a finger to point at you, Frida.
I've been waiting for this for a long time.
And the suit bellows with a heavily distorted voice that seems upsettingly close to Caleb McNulty's as it begins down the steps towards you.
Oh dear.
Who wants to go next?